in the current status quo, everyone thinks that it is only okay and all right to base them by age because it means that they're mature enough as it's based by age and can socialize better because they're somewhat have the same beliefs, have the same intelligence, and have same a sense of humor and the way of thinking. But this is not true, which is I will begin to explaining. Many of the issues that has been happening to the country of Indonesia is that people often suffer from lack of suitable process of learnings. They experience different people to handle and various kinds of intelligence, making them somewhat need to compromise with each other's speed, making the learning process ineffective. We want to address first that competency and intelligence are which the challenges here is to determine which assessment to use against this competency and intelligence. First of all, by average gradings, by total of achievements by students, and points of classes experience and reach by each and every student. The urgency of this case here is that so many fellow primary and middle schoolers experience many difficulties because they are lacking peers to create discussions and quality discussions in which they can transfer understanding better because they're grouped with people with the same level of understanding. Higher intelligence students don't have to suffer from limiting themselves and explore their talents more to study in depth, which students with lower intelligence could start to build their understanding for each subject on their own pace, and so it will then be effective. Three layers of argument that I will be explaining here is that first, the narratives of why grouping by age is ineffective. Secondly, how grouping of intelligence and competency creates better environment. And thirdly, how this would benefit in the long run. First of all, we do not want this to be ineffective that teachers skip the matter of some students that haven't understood the materials because, oh, it's time to just like skip into another chapters of the subjects because we're finished and we're done. Considering that the teachers will only then consider all students have understand the materials, but in fact, it doesn't happen. Hence, these students, even though they're in the same age, they haven't got any idea of the materials, but force themselves to just accept it because it is what it is. They need to get along with the schedules and everything. The goal of education itself is to make the students understand materials at its best and providing quality learning for all, which is this under opposition side of the house didn't reach it at all. By this time, the mechanism have set. We want to walk towards personalized and effective learnings because they're moving at their own pace. That is the key. Even if we are grouped in the same age, it doesn't guarantee anything because children's cognitive and emotional development can vary significantly. There are students' brain, especially for those primaries and middles, which hasn't been developed to catch up on higher order thinking skills as of like the third schools like. They think if they are forced to understand while they hardly can capture materials is in high speed, they just crumble, thinks that their learning is tough and won't be able to understand anything in any classes. Education is generally essential for everyone to create a better learning, not just simply skipping the classes. Secondly, I would like to dive more deeply into making all studying process accessible and suitable for everyone. We want the Excel one should always be in coherence who they think they suited with. For example, the high intelligence students can manage to create a better discussion and creating better environments and better understanding because they are in the same level with these other high intelligence students as well. Hence, if the high intelligence students are grouped with lower intelligence students, but even if they are in the same age, it doesn't necessarily coherence because they don't get the essential materials and they can't. And the high intelligence students could only compromise to these lower intelligence students. What does it for? High-level intelligence students can have advanced discussions in any sense of waiting and not in any sense of waiting for others. Although the opposition might say that this replacement out of intelligence might cause well-being of lower intelligence people could be improved towards group of by age. In fact, it is also selfish to think that higher intelligence students should always compromise and the lower ones should always skip in classes without understanding a single thing. Imagine if higher intelligence students are grouped with lower intelligence, then they have to wait for these lower students to understand the materials. They have to explain. Hence, these high intelligent students can't even think or can't even maximize their potentials and skills by setting high standards for themselves, and these low intelligent students could not goes well and blind well in the class because they haven't got any materials yet, because the teachers and because it also came from the teachers who wants to skip the class because the chapters has done, and teachers will then set the standards the same for every classes, even though the standards of every intelligence of the people in the class are different. Hence, this is not effective, and not everyone will get the quality at its best for the education. And to prepare these various age students for the real world, where they'll be working with so many older to younger peers and moving out of the comfort zone. Because when we do this, we are trained to experience things, to learn things, to do discussions with various age of people, because we want to train ourselves out of this comfort zone to reach to many different types of people. We then can be excel and can be prepared for the real world, because we are trained from such a young age from this case, which is primary and middle schoolers. Because these primary and middle schoolers hasn't developed thinking of how they should interact, of how they should understand the materials, of how they should catch up with the materials. And because we want to group them by intelligence and competency instead of age, then this would also train them. Into better collaboration and better understanding and better teamwork with other people. Hence, promotes better discussions and sharing similar understandings. Teachers here can also personalize their way of teaching to provide better understanding, sorting like materials that the students which one they need to understand more in depth and which they can less to study. Because a lot of the times there are many cases where one who should have been taught with A materials, but then they couldn't. But then other people seems to get the A materials, then they just move on to other materials because the teachers thought they have understand. But not all people, in fact, already understand this. Hence, we are promoting towards the equality, towards the better quality of education, and provide a better and same qualities learnings for all types of people. After all, classrooms are places for everyone to have quality learning, experiencing education so that they can understand and interact with peers better and maximize their potentials better. For best qualities of education for primary and middle schools, proud to propose.